Limits of accuracy. You will find this on page 24 in the Namibian Mathematics Ordinary Level textbook, Y equals mx plus c to success. Limits of accuracy or bounds of accuracy. Measurements are not always exact, and in some cases they may be rounded off. When a number has been measured to a certain accuracy, for example, to the nearest 10 centimeter, you can work out its highest and lowest possible values according to the limits of accuracy provided. These outcomes are often referred to as upper or lower bounds. Okay. What was the number before it was rounded off? That's actually the question. So there is not only one specific answer. There's more than one possibility. It's a set of numbers. So a few numbers will round to that number. The first number includes in the set is then called the lower bound, and the last number in the set is called the upper bound. Round to the nearest and correct to mean the same thing. So just be on the watch out for these two few words. That will help you, okay, to know that it's limits of accuracy. Let's look at an example. The distance from Otavi to Shumat is 70 kilometers to the nearest 10 kilometer. Find the set of possible outcomes before it was rounded off and state the lower and the upper bounds. So, remember, it's 70 and very important, that's very important, it's to the nearest 10 kilometers. That will help you. So think of the integers that will round up to 70. It can be 65, 66, 67, and so on until 64. 75 will not be included. Okay, but so I'll show you now how we work with that one. So the number represents this range of numbers that will round off to 70 is from there. So it means it's not just the integers. Okay, let me show you. The integers will be, say there, 66, let's just make it a little bit upper, 66, 67, 68, but there's always also values in between. It can be 65.1, 65.2, 65.3, and that's why it's actually all the numbers from 65. But can you see, it's an open circle, so that means 75 is not included. So everything just before 75. Okay, so this will be my lower bound, and this will be my upper bound. But remember, do you see there's an equal sign? That's why it's colored in. Do you see there's not an equal sign? That's why it's an open circle. Okay, so 75 is not included. It just means you have to stop, not continuing from and included 75, because that will round to 80 and not to 70. So this is a very long method. Let's think of a short method. Take the number after to the nearest. Okay, so what was the number after to the nearest? Let's look. To the nearest, do you see the nearest? And what was the number after 10? Okay, so take that number and divide it by 2. Find the middle. So what will it be? 5. Now take that result and subtract it to find the lower bound and add it to find the upper bound. And then fill it in. 65, 75, and remember, this 65 is included, that's why there's an equal sign. This 70 is not included, that's why there's not an equal sign. And it means, this statement means that number line. It's all the possibilities between that beginning, lower bound, and upper bound, which is not included. Okay, I want you to stop the video, and I want you to do try now 20, number 1. Oh, sorry, just a pen. You can continue the video as soon as you are finished. Okay, the radius of a circular pond is 2,200 centimeters to the nearest. Okay, let me show you. To the nearest. And what is standing after the nearest? 100. So let's just do the short method. We take the 100 and we divide it by 2 and we get 50. So to find my lower bound, I'm just going to take that value, the 2200, and I'm going to subtract 50. And to find my upper bound, I'm just going to take that 2200 and I'm going to add 50. And I'm going to get, in this case, it's going to be 2150. Okay? And in the next case, it's going to be 2250. Okay, calculate the upper and the lower bound. So actually, oh sorry, the pen didn't work nice. So 2250. So in this case, I can actually stop, but if I want to put it in a range, then I can say, okay, so what will we call the radius of a radius? So it will be the radius, and if I put it there, I put the lower bound there, and I put, remember, no equal sign, I put, so it's actually all the numbers between that range. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I'm going to let you do, because sometimes this is a very new concept and students usually struggle with it first. So I want you again to stop the video, and I want you again to do for me number 2 and 3, and then I will look at this table before we continue. Okay, just remember, first do the different questions before you continue the video. Okay, but let's start. The length of a rope is 57 centimeter to the nearest, oh, and let's just say centimeter. But remember, if there's nothing in front, what is standing there in front? It's a 1. So find the upper and the lower bounds and copy and complete the statement. So I'm giving you the hint here. Put a 1 in front of the centimeter. So it's actually to the nearest 1. Let's just get blue. So I still divide by 2 and I get 0.5. So to get my, okay, let's start with the lower bound. I prefer to start with that. So I take the 57 and I subtract 0.5. And to get my upper bound, I take the 57 and I add 0.5. So this lower bound will be 56.5 and this upper bound will be 57.5. Okay, and so in this case they want me not to stop there. They want the statement. So they want to say the length, and it's going to be, and it's 56.5, 57.5. Okay, and that's going to be my final answer. And then let's look at number 3. The length of stick is 2,3 meters to the nearest, but now it's centimeters, and that was in meters. Okay, so in this case, get your units the same, always, before you do the calculation. So take the centimeters to meters. Now, I just like always to show students, just don't make a mistake. So it's kilometers, meters, centimeters, millimeters. And it's coming from junior secondary phase, so it's 10, 100, and 1,000. Going to that side, multiply, going to this side, divide. So if I'm going to take centimeters to meters, I'm just going to divide by 100. Okay, so if I take that 20 centimeters and I divide it by 100, I'm going to get 0.2 meters. So first get your units the same, and then go on and say 0.2 divide by 2, and it's 0.1. That's the value which I will add and subtract to get my lower and upper bound. So to get my lower bound, it's going to be, what was it? 2.3 minus 0.1. And that is going to be 2.2 meters. And to get my upper bound, it's going to be 2.3, hold this pin, 2.3 plus 0.1, and that's going to be 2.4. And then I'm going to say, okay, so what was the statement? It's again length and it's going to be, this is going to be 2.2 meters, if you want, and this is going to be 2.4 meters. And that's my final. So just be careful. If there's nothing, put a 1, and if the units are not the same, first make them the same. I just want to, before I end this video, I just want to go through this table. So if the measure, if it's 6 grams to the nearest whole number, so a whole number means 1. So 1 divided 2, so it's 0.5. So if I want to find the lower, I subtract, and to find the upper, I add. Say it's 220 meters to the nearest 10 meters. So what, 10 divided 2 is 5. So subtract for the lower, add for the upper. If it's this 8500 cent and it's to the nearest 100 centimeter, it's just to get the pattern of thinking. I take 100 divide 2 and it's 50. So subtract for the lower and add for the higher, that 50. If it's 4,3 and it's correct to 1 decimal point. Now it's almost like what I always tell learners, put a 1 in that position, that 1 decimal point, and then you take that value and you divide it by 2, and it's 0.05. So again, subtract that for the lower and add that for the upper. And if it's 1,41 kilogram and it's 2 decimal places, can you see I underlined the second decimal place there? So it's going to be 0.0, now let's just get it correct, 0.1, and then so put a 1 and fill the rest with zeros and divide that by 2. And then again, subtract that to find your lower and add that to find your upper. And if it's correct to 3 decimal places, can you see underline? So fill everything with zeros. Let's just get that correct. Until you come to the third position. And that is the value that you're going to divide by 2. Okay, and you already know, subtract for the lower, add for the upper. And then the next one, correct to 3 significant figures. Now this is very important because there it's not a specific position. Like first, you can always say first decimal place is 0,1. Second decimal place is 0.01. Third decimal place is 0.001. But be careful when it's significant figures. Then you have to find again that position. This is your first, can you see? This is your first, let's just get the highlighter. First significant figure is 1. Second significant figure is 9. Third one is 5. Underline it. Do exactly the same. And put a 1 in that position and fill the rest of the positions with a 0. And then you divide that by 2. And again, subtract for the lower, add for the upper. Again, it's 3 significant figures. But now again, 5 is your first, 6 is your second, 4 is your third. So underline it. Now, put in that position, put a 1, and fill the rest of the positions with a 0. So I make a 0, a 0. Now, let's just in again. and a 1. And then I'm just divide that by 2. So subtract for the lower, add for the upper. And then correct to three significant figures. 2 is your first, 5 is your second, 8 is your third. Underline. Put a 1 in that position. So fill that. You don't have to say 0, 0 point. No, it's only 1 0 in front of the point. Okay. So, and then put a 1. So it's 0.1 divided by 2. And if you look at this, correct to three significant. So 9 is your first, 2 is your first significant, 9 your second, 5 your third. Again, put a 0 there. But remember the comma is standing there behind the 5. Okay. So if I put a 1 there and I fill the rest of the positions with 0, and there's the 1, remember, if you want a 0. But actually, if you look at that, it's just 1. You ignore the front. It's not having any meaning. It's also not having meaning after the point. Okay. And then the last one, again, three significant figures. Again, what I said, first 3, second significant figure is 5, third is 6. So put a 1 in that position and fill the rest of the positions with 0. You can do this, 0, 0. Okay, I want to redo that one because it seems to me my line is not good. Okay. So it's almost like for the 3 put a 0, for the 5 put a 0, for the 6 it's underlined, put a 1, fill the rest with zeros, 0, 0. And remember, let's just go back. If there's no comma, then the comma stands at the back. Oh, my dogs, they're so naughty. Then the comma stands at the back. So it's then 100. Do you see that's 100? And you just divide it by 2. And then you get 50. Subtract for the lower, add for the upper. Let's just